I want you to picture something. A woman, late 20s, standing outside an apartment building in the rain, holding her phone with both hands, staring at a message she has read 17 times. She is not crying. Not yet. She is doing that thing people do just before they cry, when the body has not decided yet whether to collapse or fight. Her name is Zara Mensa, and the message on her phone says, I need you to know. I never stopped loving you, but I made a choice, and I have to live with it. Now, before I tell you what that message means, and who sent it, and why it came 3 years too late, I need to take you back to where this all began, to a city that never sleeps, to 3 people who thought they understood love, until love showed them exactly how little they knew. If you are new here, welcome, stay with me. This one is going to get under your skin, and if you have been here before, you already know we do not do shallow stories. Subscribe, and let us begin. Zara Mensa had moved to the city 4 years ago with 2 suitcases, a graphic design portfolio on a USB drive, and a level of confidence that, looking back, she would describe as either inspiring or delusional, depending on her mood. She had grown up in a mid-sized city, comfortable but unremarkable, the kind of place where people knew your parents and your aunts and the name of the church your grandmother attended. Good place, a safe place, a place Zara had needed to leave in order to find out who she was when nobody already had a story about her. By the time our story starts, she had built something real. She worked at a mid-sized creative agency, not the biggest in the city, but respected. As a senior designer, she had her own apartment, small, on the 4th floor, with a window that looked out onto Went. She had 3 close friends, a favorite coffee shop, and a 5-year plan written in notebook. She kept beside her bed. The plan was simple: build her career, save money, launch her own studio by 32, fall in love when the time was right. She had always been a planner. Her mother said it came from fear, that Zara planned, because she did not trust life to be kind without her supervision. Zara said it came from ambition. They were probably both right. What the plan did not account for was Davy. David Osei came into her life at the most inconvenient moment, which is, of course, when people always do. It was at the gallery opening, a mutual friend's photography exhibition. Zara had gone out of obligation, dressed without much thought, arrived, and was standing in the corner eating mini spring rolls, and wishing she had stayed home when someone beside her said, "That one is the best photograph in the room, and nobody is looking at it." She turned. He was pointing at a small black and white print near the fire with. Near the fire, it showed 2 old hands, intertwined. No faces, no context. Just hands, and the weight of years between them. "Everyone goes straight to the big ones," he said, without looking at her yet. "The dramatic ones. But the quiet ones always say more." Zara looked at the photograph, then at him. "I was going to say the same thing," she said, "but I was eating." He laughed, and that was it. That was the moment. Not fireworks, not a slow-motion sequence, just a laugh in a gallery, and the feeling that she had just met someone who saw the world in a resolution. She cognized. His name was David. He was an architect, 31, originally from a coastal city. Relocated for work. He was not the most handsome man she had ever met, but he had the quality she found most attractive in a person. He was genuinely interested in everything. He asked questions and waited for the actual answer. He noticed things other people walked past. They talked until the gallery closed. Then they walked to a late-night food store and talked for 2 more hours. When they finally said goodnight, Zara went home, opened her notebook, and for the first time in years, did not write anything in it. She just sat with the feeling for a while. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds like the beginning of a love story, and you are right. But love stories are never just about love, are they? They are about timing, about choices, about what we want, and what we are willing to do to get it. Keep listening, because in about 6 minutes, someone else is going to walk into this story, and everything is going to change. Zara and David dated for 8 months, and those 8 months were, by any honest measure, the best of her adult life. He was steady in a way she had not expected, not boring, but grounded. He showed up. He remembered things. He pushed back when she was wrong and admitted it when he was. He cooked badly but enthusiastic. He fell asleep during films, but always stayed for the conversation afterward. She told her best friend Amina. I think he might be it. Amina, who had known Zara since university, and had watched her talk herself out of 3 perfectly good relationships, said, then stop thinking and let him be it. But then, 8 months in, Zara's agency was hired to pitch for the rebrand of a large real estate development company, and the man leading that company, the man who walked into the pitch room and sat across the table from Zara and her team, was Marcus Cole. Marcus was 36, self-made. The kind of man who entered a room and made it reorganize itself around him without trying. He had the particular confidence of someone who had never been told no enough times to fear the word. He was charming, in a way that was almost clinical, precise, targeted, effective. He chose Zara's team for the pitch. Then he called her personally to discuss the brief. Then he invited the team to dinner. Then, somehow, the dinner became just the 2 of them. And Marcus looked across the table at Zara and said, you are the most talented person in that agency. They know it, you know it. The question is, do you know what that talent is worth? Zara told herself it was professional, a compliment from a client. Nothing more, but she thought about it on the drive home. She thought about it the next morning. She thought about the 5-year plan in her notebook and whether the timeline could be compressed if the right person believed in her enough to accelerate it. She did not tell David about the dinner. This was the first lie. Not dramatic, not intentional. Just an omission. The kind that feels harmless in the moment and turns into something heavier the longer it sits. Over the next 6 weeks, Marcus made his interest clear. Not aggressively. He was too smart for that. He did it the way architects describe. Load-bearing moves, disguised as casual gestures. A book she mentioned wanting, left on her desk. A job opportunity forwarded. Thought this might interest you. A conversation that lasted 3 hours and left her feeling more seen than she had in months. She did not end things with David, but she pulled back, just slightly, became a little busier. A little more distracted. David noticed. He asked twice if everything was okay. She said yes both times. This was the second lie. What Zara told herself was, I am not doing anything wrong. I am just keeping my options open. I am being smart. I have worked too hard to let a feeling make my decisions for me. What she did not ask herself, because some questions are too uncomfortable to sit with, was, why do I need options when I already have something good? I want to pause here and ask you something, because this is the moment the story turns. Have you ever been in a place where you were genuinely happy and something came along that was not better, just shuni, and for one moment you hesitated? That hesitation, that is where we lose ourselves. That is where story really begins. The moment of truth came on an unremarkable Tuesday. Zara had agreed to meet David for dinner, a place they both liked, nothing special, just a pusta, but Marcus had called that afternoon with an invitation A private, rooftop event. The kind that only happens once. Industry people. Investors. Exactly the room Zara's 5-year plan needed her to be in. She called David. Said she had a work emergency. That she was sorry. That she would make it up to him. David said. Of course. No problem. Take care of what you need to. It was everything Marcus had promised, glittering and electric. The city spread out below like a map of every ambition she had ever had. Marcus was attentive and interesting, and he introduced her to people who used words like investment and equity and vision in the same brief as her name. She was standing at the edge of the rooftop, looking at the city, when Marcus came to stand beside her and said, "You belong in rooms like this." And in that moment, Zara Mensah, who had never needed anyone to tell her where she belonged, felt something give way inside her, not because she believed him, but because she had been so afraid for so long that she did not, that the plan might fail, that the steal might never happen, that she might stay mid. And here was someone handing her the version of herself she had always wanted to be. She chose wrong. Not that night, not in any dramatic visible way, but the choosing had already begun. The way a crack in a wall begins long before the wall falls. She ended things with David 3 weeks later. She sat across from him in a coffee shop and told him she needed to focus on her career, that she was not in the right headspace for a relationship, that it was not about him. David listened. He did not raise his voice. He did not argue. He looked at her for a long, careful moment and said, "Is there someone else?" And Zara said, "Third lie, the worst one. Not because of what it did to David, though it did damage, but because of what it did to her, because the moment the word left her mouth, something shifted in the way she understood herself, and it would take her a long time to shift it back." David nodded. He stood up. He said, "I hope you find what you are looking for, Zara. I really do." And he left. Some of you are frustrated with her right now. I understand. But stay with me. Because this story is not about judging Zara. It is about understanding her. And understanding ourselves. In the moments we have been exactly where she is. Because how many of us have chosen the shiny thing over the good thing? How many of us have told ourselves the lie that it was really about ambition, about growth, when really it was about fear? For 6 months, things with Marcus were exactly what Zara had imagined. She was in the right rooms. She met the right people. He invested in her studio concept. Not as a gift, as a business arrangement, with contracts and percentages and milestones. She told herself this was better, cleaner, more real. But somewhere around month 4, she began noticing things. Marcus's interest in her came in waves. Intense, when she was useful to him. Distracted when she was not. He was charming in public and critical in private. Small criticisms, delivered smoothly. That design is interesting, but the clients will not get it. You are funny. I just think sometimes you do not read the room. I am not saying you are wrong. I am just saying that is not how it is done here. Each one alone was nothing. Together, over months, they added up to something. Zara started second-guessing her work. She started choosing safe designs over brave ones. She started measuring her instincts against what she thought Marcus would approve of. This was when she realized, slowly, and then all at once, that she had made a terrible exchange. She had given up a man who believed in exactly who she was, for a man who believed in who she could be. Under his supervision, she had given up love for access. The relationship with Marcus ended in a way she had not expected. Not with a fight, not with betrayal. He simply grew distant. A new project, a new city, a new person who had the qualities she had when she was still becoming. hungry, uncertain, eager to prove herself. She was, to Marcus, most interesting in potential. Once she arrived, she became ordinary to him. She sat in her apartment the night it ended, and she looked around at all the things that were supposed to mean she had made it. And she felt nothing. She opened her notebook. The 5-year plan was right on schedule. The studio was launching in 4 months. She had everything she said she wanted. But the last line she had ever written in that notebook, 3 years ago before she crossed it out, was, fall in love when the time is right. She had crossed it out because she convinced herself she had outgrown it. That it was soft, that ambition did not need it. She picked up her phone. She scrolled back. Far back, to David's number. She had not deleted it. She had never been able to. She typed deleted, typed again, deleted. Then, finally she wrote, I need you to know. I never stopped loving you, but I made a choice, and I have to live with it. She stared at it. Then she pressed send. This is where we came in, is it not? Zara, standing outside an apartment building. In the rain, holding her phone, the message sent. The choice made, even if she does not know yet what it means. She stood there for a long time, long enough for the rain to soak through her jacket, long enough to wonder if she had been brave or stupid, or both. Long enough to accept that she might not get a reply, that she did not deserve one. That this was not about deserving, it was about truth, and truth is worth saying even when it arrives 3 years late. Her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen. David had written, I know. I have known for a long time. Are you okay? Not, I told you so. Not, you hurt me. Just, are you okay? That is the thing about people who are genuinely good. They never stop being who they are just because you stop seeing them clearly. She typed back, not really. But I am working on it. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, there is a coffee shop on Birch Street, still open. I can be there in 20 minutes. No pressure. She did not plan what she was going to say. She did not rehearse. She just put her phone in her pocket, looked up at the rain for a moment. The way you look at something that has been making things difficult, but is also undeniably real and alive and part of the world you live in. And she walked. It took 2 more months of honest conversations, and a lot of uncomfortable truths, and 1 very long phone call in which Zara told David everything, including the 3 lies, before they found their way back to each other. It was not the same as before. It was better, because this time, she was not holding anything back. No plans, no calculations, no exit strategies. She was just there, present, choosing him, and choosing herself. At the same time, the studio launched 4 months later. It was called Birch Creative. He brought flowers on opening night. He did not make a speech. He just stood in the back of the room and smiled the way people smile when they are proud of someone and have no need to announce it. Zara's mother, who had flown in for the launch, leaned over to Amina and whispered, "She looks happy." Amina, who had watched all of this unfold from close range, with deep investment and occasional despair, said, "She is." She finally stopped planning it and just let it be it. Here is what I want to leave you with. Zara is not a villain in this story. She is not even a cautionary tale. She is just a person, like most of us, who got so focused on the version of her life she was building that she almost dismantled the best thing in it, without noticing. We live in a world that is very good at making us feel like whatever we have is not quite enough. That the next level is just one more room away. That love is something you schedule for later, when the important things are done. But here is the truth this story is trying to tell you. Ambition is not the enemy of love. Fear is. The fear that you are not enough. The fear that choosing softness means choosing weakness. The fear that being loved exactly as you are, not as you could be, not as you will be when you have achieved the thing, is too simple to be real. Zara's 5-year plan was not wrong. Her ambition was not wrong. What was wrong was the belief that she had to choose, that being loved and being great was somehow competing destinations. They are not. They never were. The right person will not ask you to be less. They will stand in the back of your opening night with flowers and a quiet smile and let your greatness be yours. All you have to do is let them stay. If this story hit differently, if some part of it felt familiar, drop a comment. I read every single one. And if you are watching this alone, I hope it reminded you that you are not alone in the choices you have made, or the ones you are still figuring out. Like and subscribe. We tell stories like this every week. Take care of yourselves, and see you in the next one.